We're now starting into Ecozone GIS Investigation Part 2. And to begin with, we're going to look at how to handle the data that comes with each layer. You can see that I've added the National Parks layer. That was something that came up in the end of the last assignment. We still have the cities, we have the Ecozone information, etc. What I'm going to do, just for clarity, I'm going to click off the Ecozones layer. I'm going to click off the cities layer, but I've clicked on the Ecozone boundaries layer. So you can see a bit more clearly here the national parks in kind of lighter green and then the Ecozone boundaries in darker green. Interesting point here, what Canada has tried to do is have at least one national park in each ecozone. There's not that much in the Boreal Shield, but a little bit. Anyway, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the data table in a couple of different ways. So for national parks, we're going to look at the data table, and there it is. Again, the information given to us is simply the names in English and French and the areas in each. Just like in most spreadsheets and databases, you can do some basic things to manipulate and summarize the data. So if you just click on the column heading, the field heading for area, it allows you to sort ascending and descending. Sometimes, if available, this menu will also allow you to do some basic statistics such as means, standard deviations, and so on. So that's where you would look for that sometime in the future. In this case, all it's asking for is, or it's offering, is sorting. So I'm going to sort this in descending order. And you can see that the largest national park in Canada is, I couldn't even begin to pronounce that, Kootenay Park National Park in Canada, and the smallest one is Point Pelee National Park in Canada, southernmost point apart from the islands in Lake Erie, way down, jutting out into Lake Erie there. So that's just sort of information about the data table. Another thing we can do with the data tables, if I go to the Ecozones layer and put it back on again, if I open up that table, you can see that among other information it has the dominant cover. And one thing that we can do with this, as with most spreadsheets that you would use in the world outside of GIS, is you can filter the database. And to do that, the symbol is this one. Looks like kind of a magnifying glass, I guess, or a flashlight. So you click on filter, and it allows you to choose what variable you want to filter, what you want to find out more about. In this case, it's dominant cover. Now, some other options here are is not, starts with, ends with, etc. If it's numerical, it also has things like is at least, is greater than, is less than, etc. But in this case, we just want is. And then we could either type in coniferous forest, or to be a little safer, if I click on unique, it gives me the exact wording, so I don't have to make sure I have the right spacing, right spelling, right terminology, etc. So I can click coniferous forest if I've hit that unique. If this was numerical, I could have had something like population is at least 200,000. That would be an option if I had, for example, the city's data. So when I now do this, apply filter, it will take that Ecozone layer and only show me the ones which are coniferous forest by dominant cover. So you can see it's most of these through the northwest and the west through the mountains and so on, and then across, what we often think of as cottage country. North of that is too cold, is more tundra, and south of that you're into mixed and deciduous forest and grasslands and so on. So now one thing I can do with that is I can then display that. We're pretty familiar now with changing style. I'm just going to change the unique symbols, and no, I don't think I want unique symbols. I want single symbol. Yeah, single symbol, and that means they're going to be all the same color, just because I wanted just to show the coniferous forest, so they're all going to appear the same, doing it that way.